G'day everyone, Wesley here from the Mental Awareness Foundation and the one, the only, Mr. Nathan Sharpe.
How are you, mate?
Good to see you. Listen, I actually met Nathan probably about 18 months ago, 2 years ago now, at the local gym here, and Nathan saw me as this big, bright, shining light in his life.
It's not actually true. We were doing competitive circuits, and he was really putting it to me. So I was a bit embarrassed.
And you are competitive. Yeah, that's right. But I guess we just met at the local gym, and we actually have some mutual friends. So we, I guess, get to know each other through that, and Nathan, has luckily come on board to promote MAF, which is really good, and our walk. But mate, thank you for coming and having a small chat to us.
Fantastic.
Mate, as we've sort of spoken off the video camera, mate, you've had some big changes over the last 4 years.
Yeah.
And I wanted to talk to you about those changes and how you've coped with your mental mood or your mental health, because, mate, change is a big thing in mental health. Yeah. So, mate, how have you gone from professional football to business owner?
Yeah, I think there's a few, I guess, parts to it. Wesley, one of the big things for me, I was lucky enough to be surrounded by good people.
Yep.
Because you can't do anything on your own. It doesn't matter who you are, you need people to rely on, and I was lucky to have a couple of really good people around me. Yep. So that for me is probably the biggest point of difference, that I came through football, and I didn't retire from rugby to do something else. I retired to another job, so I had that transition in mind, and then when I finished playing football, I had something to go to the very next day or week or whenever I wanted to, and I was really conscious of the fact that if I sort of sat around and didn't do anything, I didn't think I would have handled it very well, because I would have just had all this spare time thinking about the years gone by, rather than just setting goals and marching along.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that about people surrounding yourself with people. Like, we really encourage people to be with people that motivate them, inspire them, are healthy, are good for them. So that's really awesome, mate. Mate, did you go into something that you really enjoyed? Was that sort of a big thing that you needed to embrace?
Well, I think for me, I like being part of a team, so I recognised that was a big part of what I needed to get into. So I was lucky. A mate of mine and I started a company, and we got cracking into it. And one of the most important things, I think, is having goals. And goals, to some people sound like a bit of a strange word or whatever it might be, and I'm a little bit cautious to always say I'm setting goals, but realistically, I knew where we wanted to go, and we just had to set markers along the way and try and work towards those. So every day I'd get up and I had something to actually work towards.
Yes.
And then as I'd knock those little markers off, I'd get satisfaction. So no matter what was going on, and I might have woken up and missed playing rugby, or missed the lifestyle that I was living before that, I could still wake up and go, well, you know what, I'm accomplishing something here, as little as it may have been for the day. I always made sure that I was trying. You got
that little goal. Was that goal setting something that you took from rugby into business, or had you sort of always been a goal setter even in your footy days?
Yeah, I'm not big on setting formal goals, because I'm not an overly structured person like that, but I do know where I want to get to, and I can, at the end of every day I'll sit down and think, well, where do I need to get to for the end of next week? And where do I need to be at the end of next month? So I don't spend a lot of time sitting down and writing things down, but it's always in the back of my head that there are steps to getting to where you want to get to. And if you look at any person or team that's successful, I think routine is a really important part of the success, because you've got to have that routine of waking up every day and working towards a longer term goal, and that might be winning a trophy in sport. It might be growing your business by 20%. It might be seeing more of your friends that you haven't seen for a long period of time. And those goals are always, you can make them what they are.
Yeah, mate, that's a really good tip. It's actually something that I actually do. I'm a bit of a goal setter, but I think it's that direction that helps, isn't it? Where you know where you want to go. And I guess if you are watching this film or this short video, don't be afraid. Just if there's somewhere that you want to get to, set that plan, because it really will help out with your direction and your mental health.
Absolutely. And a lot of the guys that I played sport with, just you've got to work out, I think, what works best for you. But a lot of the guys that I played with, they'd write their goals and stick it on the fridge or the wall in the bathroom, and they look at it every day. So I think it works differently for everyone. And I guess, I've found something that works for me. And, sometimes I think, I could be doing this better. So,
Yeah.
should I be doing what you're doing, mate, and really formalising where I want to get to?
Yeah, or mate, test and measure, I could say. Mate, I guess you mentioned that word routine. What's your morning routine, or is there a routine that you bring into your life that's working for you?
Yeah, a big part of that for me is exercise.
Yep.
So, every couple of days, if I have an exercise, I can really feel it.
Yep.
I get a bit bogged down and a bit jaded. So that's an important part for me, and I always try and fit it in somewhere, whether it's early in the morning or if kids have got school early and all the rest of it. I'll try and prioritise it around my day, because I think it only takes half an hour to go and expend some energy, and then the mental reward for that for me is
totally.
tenfold.
Do you like to do teamwork, like within a group, or do you sort of punch out your own little session?
Yeah, it's funny, I like training in teams, but I don't like actually competing because I get too competitive and then I don't enjoy it. So I sort of try and stay away from the type of work where you're really competing hard against people. I sort of did enough of that in my sporting career, and I feel like I've got enough in the business world to get my competitive juices flowing.
And what was probably the biggest change for you, mate? Was it a mental thing or a physical thing when you did make that transition? What was that?
Look, I think it was a mental one, but it was one I was ready to do. Wes, I look back and people always said, "Oh, you retired too early," because I can still sit on my toes. I don't have a beer gut yet, so everyone says, "Oh, you should still be playing," and you go, "Yeah, I'm not sure," but and you sort of sit there and you think, "Oh, maybe I could be playing," but at the time it was just right for me. I really exhausted myself playing in a team that I loved with Western Force, but we really had to battle every week. Was an uphill battle, and it just drained me. And I love playing with the Wallabies, but that was only 7 or 8 games a year, and you couldn't have your cake and eat it too. So you would have had to back up play Super Rugby in the Wallabies. You couldn't just play the Wallabies. So that was, for me, the decision was made, and I just closed the door on it and moved forward.
You're just obviously content with that decision. It's like, right, I've got to move on from this now, and kept going.
And I think that was the key, though. I had to close the door and go, you know what, there's no point looking backwards, because I'm not going back. I'm not going back there. And I'd be lying if I said there's not days when I wake up and go, geez, I'd love to be out there,
beating England.
Beating England, yeah. But that goes after 5 minutes, and I'll sit back and have a beer with you, mate. We can watch them bash each other up. Yeah.
Mate, I guess, no doubt probably had some tough times in footy and then tough times in business. How do you overcome sort of those tough moments, or even at home, or is there anything that you do?
Absolutely, yeah. One of the things that I think I've always managed to be reasonably good at, and when I had bad days in rugby, or I got dropped from a team or what it might be, someone who gave me a really good piece of advice when I got dropped in 2008 from the Wallabies for the first time ever. I didn't make the touring squad to go to South Africa, and I was walking around sort of moping for a couple of days, and he just rang me up and he said, "Look, you've got to reassess the goals that you want to achieve." And he said, "Once you're sure on what they are, you've just got to go and work hard, work harder, and wait for that opportunity, because you'll get another opportunity, but if you don't work hard, you won't be ready and you'll miss it." So, and it was the best advice I got, because, rather than sitting around and going and forgetting about things, I just trained really, really hard in the anticipation that I'd get that opportunity. Yeah. And I did got the opportunity to go back into the team, and I didn't look back after that, So, but for me, in how that, I guess, translates to the world outside of rugby is focusing on goals and what you want to achieve, because if you can, in life, you'll get opportunities in different things, and where you want to go to. I think if you're prepared when that opportunity comes, you won't regret it, because you'll take it.
It's almost like that moment of negativity where you got dropped was actually success, because it made you look back and go, right, okay, I got dropped, but now it's time to refocus and get back to where I want to be. Yeah. So it's almost like it was a blessing that sometimes your failures are
awesome. And also, for me, I learnt so much more from the things that I didn't do well, and things that didn't happen well in teams. And I remember watching, it was only a couple of months ago, what's the MMA fighter that everyone thought was going to...
Conor McGregor.
Yeah, Conor McGregor. They were interviewing him after the fight, and And I wasn't always a massive fan of him, but they interviewed him and they said, "Oh, what are you going to do?" And he said, "Oh, I'm going to go and celebrate."
Yeah.
I can't do the accent, so sorry. He said, "I'm going to go and celebrate," and they said, "Well, what do you mean?" And he said, "I'm going to go and celebrate this adversity because I'm going to come back bigger and better from that."
Yeah.
And to me, I thought that was a really powerful statement for someone to make because he knew that he had a hard time, and in that world of MMA, one loss can mean the end of it.
Yeah.
But he understood that, he didn't have a great night. He's going to learn from that, go away, work harder, and down the track he'll get that opportunity to do it. So I thought that was pretty powerful.
And I think, and if you are watching this video too, just, if you do, I guess, inverted commas, fail at something or don't get that result, don't beat yourself up about it. See the beauty about it, try and improve and go from there. Like that's one thing I know, even with my business or me personally, anything where I have fallen over, you just pick yourself up and go, right, well, I'm not going to do that again that way, I'll try it another way. And, it's powerful stuff, man.
But it is like, I feel like in your life, like I feel like I've had so many failures along the way, but sometimes you look back and you go, geez, I worked out of that pretty well.
Yeah.
Or, I could have done that better, but I still got out of it, and that situation wasn't the end of the world. And I think the satisfaction you get from actually dragging yourself out of a tough situation, to me, is, what life is all about. And, I don't know if it's relevant, but the one thing that I do like, the saying that I do like, again, I'm not one for putting up sayings along the wall and that, but a mate of mine told me, when I was going through some personal hard times, tough times don't last, but tough people do. And it's true, because that's if you can maintain that desire to improve yourself and get to where you want to get to, you'll work your way through most situations. Yeah, man,
laughing helps a lot. So.
Yeah, exactly right.
Mate, I mentioned before, if there was one book you could hand to someone, what would it be and why?
I really like a book called Good to Great.
Yeah,
because
Stephen Conroy.
I think I can't remember the author's name, but it's been around for years. But it's just a really good example of how you can be operating at what you think's your maximum potential, but there's so much more you can always do.
Yeah.
And I think that it is a book that has stood the test of time because it is so true about the way that it goes about things. And in terms of fiction, I like Will Smith. I like the When the Lion Feeds and those type of books.
I haven't read that
so
one.
I've read them a few times, and it's just a form of escape and have a bit of time to myself.
And mate, how are you enjoying your new lifestyle?
Mate, I love it.
Yeah.
No, it's really good. I guess when I retired from football, I knew I couldn't actually sit behind a desk and go from 8 till 6.
Yeah.
And I was really conscious of trying to keep some variation in my life.
Yeah.
Got 2 beautiful kids, a beautiful woman in my life.
Yeah.
So it's it's good, but it's not always like that.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate that when things are pretty good.
Yeah.
But as I said, you always want more when you no matter what you're doing.
Yeah.
And I guess it's just trying to be one consistent in what I do. One of the things in sport is everyone always talks about a good performance comes from really good preparation.
Yep.
And for me, that's the same in life.
Yeah,
so I try and keep some routine.
Yeah, consistent.
And that consistency, and whilst I might do the same thing every single day, the elements are all very similar.
Do you get into yoga or meditation or anything like that?
No, but I need to.
Yeah,
I need to, mate. I'm very bad at. I look at my time management, and I need to get much better at that, because I think for me, that time just to step away from being busy is really, really important.
I must say, I've done a few of these interviews. I feel quite blessed. But one of the common thing that's coming out of it is, 1 is exercise, 2 is surrounding yourself with positive people, 3 the self-talk of if you do have an issue, moving on from getting over it and going from there. But another one that I've been picking up on is meditation or yoga.
Yeah.
So, mate, definitely something worth trying.
It's definitely a piece of the puzzle.
Yes.